It's kind of like if you read a self-help book. It's one thing to read a self-help book and just at the end not do anything to change your life. And it's another thing to read the self-help book and actually apply the steps in the self-help book to change your life. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For this video, I want to talk about a topic that is ringing true in my life right now, and that is watching other people live their lives more than you're living your own. And if you have been watching my videos for a while, you know I am very passionate about this topic. I've had a love-hate relationship with social media since high school when it really started popping off, and recently I've noticed that my old habits have started trickling back in because, you know, a few months ago, I literally deleted social media, all of it, and I was off of it for almost a year because I really want to focus on my own life and building the things I wanted to build without any distraction. And a part of that required me to delete social media because it took up such a big part of my life. Not just time-wise, but like just comparing myself, and that just sapped my energy a lot. And I know I'm not the only one who deals with this. I was like, let me hop on camera and talk about this. And you may be asking, Aaliyah, how are you sliding back into your old habits if you're off of social media? Well, if you don't know, I have created a new series called On My Terms, and I've been really passionate about this project recently, and it kind of requires me to be on social media a bit to post what I'm doing, you know, because I do, oh, the light. Hi, son. Because I want people to see my work and the things that I'm passionate about. So I have been posting more on Instagram, on my new page, On My Terms, as well as TikTok again. And social media is built in a way that it sucks you in. Even the strongest person with the biggest boundaries around social media, like me, can still fall into the traps of social media. And I want to share that because I'm not above how social media is built to make you addicted. The only difference between this time around and years ago when I was using social media is now I know when to catch it, and I know that I need to set new boundaries because I believe that the more you evolve as a person, your boundaries need to change, because what worked for me back then when it came to social media and the boundaries I had, they are not going to work right now. And so I started thinking about this topic of watching other people live their lives more than living my own, because I don't know, I just feel like I've never met anyone on their deathbed or heard of any reports of people saying, I wish I watched people's lives more. You know, I just never heard of that. And so that's why I always try to continually remind myself to spend more time living my life. This isn't to say that you can't seek inspiration from other people, because I still do. The only thing is I really try to seek it in other forms other than social media. And that means through books, autobiographies, biographies, or long form content like YouTube videos, podcasts, and stuff like that. Rarely do I seek inspiration on Instagram or TikTok anymore, just because it's so short form. I'm just not a huge short form girly. I'm just not a fan. And I know that's contradicting myself because now I'm creating short form content for my new project, but I think there is a balance that needs to be had. And like, you just need to know yourself. For me, reading long form content or consuming long form content, I enjoy that. But if your thing is short form, okay, do that, but be aware of it. And so all of this to say, in this video, I do want to talk about the new boundaries that I'm setting, the mindset that I am cultivating to help me in this new era of creating more on social media while also maintaining that mindset of, okay, I need to be living my life for me, not for others. And secondly, spending more time in my own life than watching other people live theirs. So if any of this resonates with you, stay tuned, because I'm going to share what I've been working on, what I've been cultivating, and hopefully it helps you out too. The first thing that I'm doing is replacing comparison with curiosity, because as we all know, social media has this thing where as you're viewing other people's lives, it's very, very easy to start comparing your own life to other people's. And I'm trying to get into like this creator mindset, and instead of viewing other people's accomplishments and what they're doing in their lives as a threat to my own success, I'm trying to view it as inspiration. And if they could do it, I could do it type thing. I've really been trying to cultivate that mindset of jealousy being a sign of what you want in life and trying to turn that into inspiration and action. And so I feel like whenever we do this, it empowers us to, okay, let's view other people, draw inspiration from that, and then apply it to our own lives instead of passively watching other people live their lives and not doing anything in yours. It's kind of like if you read a self-help book. It's one thing to read a self-help book and just at the end not do anything to change your life. And it's another thing to read the self-help book and actually apply the steps in the self-help book to change your life. And so I'm really trying to step into that practice of, okay, Leah, if you're gonna take the time to go on social media, watch people on YouTube, watch people on Instagram, what have you, okay, what are you learning from them? How can you apply what they're doing to your own life? And I find that much more productive than just sitting and scrolling or whatever and not doing anything, especially if it's causing jealousy within yourself. What are you doing to turn that jealousy into curiosity and inspiration? The second thing is creating more than I am consuming. And this has been a lifelong practice ever since social media has really started to become a thing. And I had like a long period where I wasn't creating anything and I was not on social media at all. And I love that period of my life. But now I'm more focused on, okay, I have this inspiration inside of me and I want to create. And so it doesn't require me to consume, but of course, when you hop on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you're gonna eventually stumble across other people's content. And so I'm trying to be aware, like, okay, if you're going on this platform, what is today about? What is this moment about? Are you going on to post and then get off? Or do you want to post and maybe see what other people are doing? But also, if I'm gonna go in there to see what other people are doing, I need to set limits to that. I'm starting to think of it as me parenting myself and kind of be like, okay, Leah, you only have like 10 minutes of scroll time or whatever. And I know that doesn't work for a lot of people, but I feel like now with the season that I'm in and like the past practices I've had with social media detoxes and stuff like that, I feel like I'm in a place to be like, okay, no, I feel like I'm in a place to actually trust myself to stick to that boundary. And if not, I'll change it and be stricter with myself. But I feel like now, because of my values and like my desire to actually embody what I'm preaching right now, I feel like I can really stick to that boundary and that limit I have for myself. And I know this is kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, how can you be a creator and not consume things? And it's all about boundaries. Notice that I said create more than consuming. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna consume anything. It just may be in different forms. Like it may not just be social media, it may also be through books or meeting new people to seek inspiration. The next one kind of ties into the previous one, and that is to consume with intention. And this is so hard because obviously if you're like focusing on social media like Instagram and TikTok specifically, it's really hard to control what you see on your feeds, you know? I know like Instagram had a feature to where you could like say, I just want to see people I follow like on my feed. I don't know if that still exists anymore, but it's really hard to control what you see on your feeds. And so this is going to be very difficult. But going forward, I feel like I am going to try to be really intentional with who I follow and take that extra step to, on TikTok, go to the side where it's like people I'm strictly following and not just for you page. Or Instagram, if they still have that feature of like, oh, I just want to see people I follow, change that. And I know that sounds like a lot of work, but I feel like we do become what we consume over time. You are what you eat, you are what you consume. You know, you become what you continually hear, see, whatever. And so I will say I have been lacking in that practice just a bit, but I do want to get back in that headspace of, okay, let's cultivate a routine where it's very intentional, like what I'm listening to, what I'm seeing in videos, because I know the impact it's had on me in the past. The next one is very specific to me, and it could be different for you depending on like your boundaries and what you're doing with social media. And that is to have social media reserved for the weekends. And this is excluding YouTube, because I'm on YouTube all week watching videos and stuff like that. And something specific with YouTube I'm trying to implement is I'm only going to watch podcasts. I rarely go to YouTube Shorts. Recently, I've been watching YouTube Shorts for cooking videos and recipes, because recently I've been really into trying new recipes, but that's completely different. But I am I'm really gonna try to limit watching entertainment type videos and reserve that for the weekends, and like during the week really watch like podcasts and inspirational videos that I enjoy. When it comes to uploading and creating content for On My Terms or aaliyah inspired, I definitely want to allow myself to create that during the week, but of course post on the weekends, and primarily for Saturdays, and with a window. Like, okay, at 2 o'clock you only have an hour to be on social media. After that, enjoy your weekend, babes. Like, do not be on social media just scrolling all day. And the last thing is prioritizing real world experiences. This is one of the reasons why I became a minimalist. If you guys have been following me for a while, I mean like years, you know that I became obsessed with minimalism and intentional living when I was like 16 years old. And one thing that sold me on minimalism was spending more time collecting real world experiences over material things. And that message really resonated with me, and it still resonates with me to this day. And of course, over time, I kind of slipped on that a bit. Like, maybe I'm not as strict when it comes to purchasing things or whatever, but I really believe once a minimalist, always a minimalist. It just may not look the same as it did when I first started at 16, but the core value of spending more time actually living your life over consumption, that has stuck with me to this day. And recently I have become more inspired by that value. I just feel really rejuvenated to actually start collecting more experiences, because I will say, maybe because over the past few weeks I haven't been doing a lot of things. Like, I haven't been really intentional with trying new things or going out as much and meeting new people. Like, I really have been falling into my introverted ways and just staying in the house, reading my little books and not engaging with the world as much. And so that's probably why like this value of mine has re-inspired me to, okay, Aaliyah, let's start ticking stuff off of my bucket list. It doesn't have to be anything grand or big, but like small things. Like this morning I was looking into a spoken word night or whatever at this bookshop in Valencia, and it's not just for like poetry or like fiction, but because you guys know I mainly write nonfiction. And so I was looking into that, and I was like, it would be kind of cool if I went to that and like read my personal essays and see how people reacted, because you guys know one of my big goals in life eventually is to write a book. And so I feel like even though right now like my focus isn't to write and finish a book right now, I could take those tiny steps of like reading my essays that I'm working on now, seeing how people react, seeing what resonates, to start building that catalog of like, okay, I know what resonates, what doesn't. So when I do start really focusing on my book, I've had these experiences. And so that's just one example of something like I really need to start being more intentional about. Like, okay, Leah, what do you want to experience in your life? How do you want it to feel? How do you want it to look? I feel like I haven't asked myself those questions. I've been asking other people those questions if you've been watching On My Terms, but I haven't really been asking myself, because you know, you go through seasons in life, phases in life, where it's like you kind of fall off of your practices that really inspired you in the beginning and helped you out in the beginning, and you kind of fall off, but eventually you kind of circle back. And I feel like I'm like circling back to those practices that really helped me and ignited that fire in me to go live my life. So that is it, guys. I hope this video really resonated and inspired you to start thinking about, okay, how can I start living my life more other than watching other people live theirs? If you enjoyed it, let me know down below in the comment section, as well as subscribe to this video and give it a big like. Make sure to stay inspired, and Aaliyah loves you.